this meeting of the Maine Township Board. The first thing I'd like to do is rise to say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone, and welcome to all our visitors this evening. We're going to go through a couple of routine matters and then turn to a resolution at the end here. So just give us a few minutes to proceed with some of our normal opening business. First of all, we have a roll call.
Assessor Pride, Commissioner, Assessor Pride, here. Commissioner Webb,
here.
Clerk Jamas, Supervisor Diamond,
Clerk Jamas called in ahead of time. He will not be able to be here. And I'm here.
Trustee Jones, Trustee Hobart, here. Trustee Maher,
Here.
Trustee Maher.
And Trustee Jones also called in ahead of time and is not able to make it this evening. All right, so we'll begin with our regular agenda. May I have motion to approve the minutes of June 29, 2002 board meeting?
I will make a motion to approve the minutes of the June 29th, 2022 board meeting.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, are there any corrections or comments? All right, then may I have a roll call?
Supervisor Diamond,
Yes.
Trustee Hobart, yes. Trustee Maher,
Yes.
Trustee Maher.
I abstain. All right. Then we're moving on to item number 2. May I have a motion to approve the general assistance expenditures?
I will make a motion to approve the general assistance checks approve motion to approve payroll for pay dates of July 8th, 2022 and July 22nd, 2022, and general assistance checks number 54214 through check number 54274 in the amount of $53,406.95.
Is there a second?
I second.
Any comments or corrections with respect to that motion? Let me have a roll call.
Supervisor Diamond,
Yes.
Trustee Hobart,
Yes.
Trustee Maher,
Yes.
Trustee Maher.
Yes.
All right, thank you. May I have a motion to approve the road district expenditures?
Yes. I will make a motion to approve payroll for pay dates of July 8th, 2022 and July 22nd, 2022, and road district checks number 22452 through check number 22491 in the amount of $114,030.51.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments about that motion? And may I have a roll call?
Supervisor Diamond,
Yes.
Trustee Hobart,
Yes.
Trustee Maher,
Yes.
Trustee Maher.
Yes.
All right, thank you very much. That passes. And we now turn finally to the general town fund expenditures. Do I have a motion to approve the general town fund expenditures?
I make a motion to approve payroll for pay date of July 8, 2022 and July 2022 and general town fund checks 59570 through check 59629 in the amount of $243,908.52.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, so any questions or comments about that? No? All right, may I have a roll call?
Supervisor Diamond,
Yes.
Trustee Hobart,
Yes.
Trustee Maher,
Yes.
Trustee Maher.
Yes.
All right, thank you very much. Do we have any requests for public participation? You checked? Okay, fine. All right, the next item on our agenda is old business, but I'm going to leave the other trustees, skip down to an item under number 7, new business, which is a resolution to recognize the 100th anniversary of the Cook County Sheriff's Police Department. And I'm going to ask one of our trustees to read that resolution, and then I will ask for a motion to adopt that resolution. Would you please read that, Trustee
Should I
Maher?
take the podium or am I seat?
It's up to you. You can go to the podium.
Okay.
Wherever you feel more comfortable.
Sure, it doesn't matter. It's okay. Okay, tonight is my honor to read the following resolution. It's entitled Maine Township Resolution Number 2022-8, a resolution to recognize the 100th anniversary of the Cook County Sheriff's Police Department. Whereas 2022 marks the 100th anniversary of the Cook County Sheriff's Police Department, and whereas the Cook County Sheriff's Police Department is the third largest police department in the state of Illinois, and whereas the Cook County Sheriff's Police officers are state-certified law enforcement officers charged with patrolling unincorporated areas of Cook County, as well as assisting suburban police departments with police operations, including but not limited to detective and evidence services, narcotics interdiction, bomb detection and disposal, vice operations, street crime suppression, and hostage barricade terrorist incidents, and numerous other services that they provide for our township. Whereas approximately 109,000 people live in unincorporated communities in Cook County, among the county's 5.3 million total population, and whereas the history of the Cook County Sheriff's Police Department can be traced back to May of 1831, with the inauguration of Sheriff James Kinsey, the very first sheriff of Cook County, and whereas the current Sheriff Thomas Chaytard has done his part, and all his employees, of course, to ensure the proud tradition is continued. And therefore, the trustees of Maine Township recognize the contribution of the Cook County Sheriff's Police Department to the safety and security of the residents of Maine Township, as well as the development and modernization of law enforcement in Cook County over the past 100 years.
All right, we have a resolution. Do I have a motion to adopt that resolution?
I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution recognizing the 100th anniversary of the Cook County Sheriff's Police Department.
And a second?
Second.
All right, any other comments on that resolution?
Yes, just congratulations to all the men and
All right,
women.
we'll do a quick roll call.
Supervisor Lennon?
Yes.
Trustee Cobra?
Yes.
Trustee Mapper?
Yes.
Trustee Mapper?
Yes.
Thank you very much. As soon as Trustee Maher is done signing that certificate, I will take it. And would you come up here and introduce all of our guests here this evening? Sure. Thank you for joining us this evening. If you would just step over here to the center of the room, we do have a photographer here who would like to take your picture. And I ask if the other trustees can stand perhaps behind me. I don't know, you can tell me how what you can see.
Yeah, actually, it might be good if,
Want me to take your picture?
Kelly and Austin, you can
Better
like
than stand right there.
yeah, stand like over your shoulders.
Would you introduce our guests to our audience here, and we want to make sure we get in our minutes today. Sure.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Penny Maytag. I'm the Community Affairs Coordinator for the Cook County Sheriff's Police, and I'm the liaison for Neighborhood Watch here in Maine Township with our police department. And joining us here tonight is North Area Commander Patrick Murray, who is in charge of all of the patrol officers who patrol the North Area. And then also joining us is Inspector Tim O'Donnell, who is one of our internal affairs supervisors and also the co-chair of our 100th anniversary committee.
Thank you very much for joining us this evening. Well, we appreciate all the work that you do and for your coming here this evening too. And we just want to recognize 100 years of service to Maine Township and helping to keep our citizens safe. So we just have a little resolution here that we signed off on, and we want to thank you again for this. And we'll give it to you.
Take a couple, can I pose you a couple of ways?
Sure.
If you could stay there.
We're not going to be
I can move on.
I will get in the picture.
I can move right on.
No, you can stay right there, forward. Supervisor, there.
There. All right.
Left shoulder toward me, right shoulder toward me, shaking hands.
Oh, okay.
There we go. This way, and then we get you to step up here. So can I get you to step up there? Sure. There we go, perfect. Susie, here, and up there, and jump in here. Okay.
Okay, I know that was a quick one, so everybody ready? 3, 2, 1. I'm gonna try one more. Let me see a real camera anymore.
Yeah.
Well, I want to be like extra presented. Kelly, you want to get a little bit? Yeah, there we go, a little bit more in. I'll try to. Okay.
Nobody move.
That's good.
Nobody move. Can I get you to take one with my?
Yes, absolutely.
And then I'll jump up and I'll take it from you. Okay, there we go. All right. shaking hands.
Okay.
There we go.
I'll do one long way. One this way. Okay.
All right, I'm gonna take one more hand. Thank you. All right. One, two, three. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very
And most of us are wanting to stay as long as you like, but if you have other engagements. Or.
Thank you. I'm going to speak to an officer.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Appreciate you guys.
Supervisor, before we go.
That's what we're going to have.
Nice. Well, thank you very much, Mr. O'Connell, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I will pass these out.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. I'll pass a few down here. All right, okay. Okay, now we will go back to old business, but once more, with the indulgence of the trustees, I'd like to move one matter out of order because I think it will not take too long and one of our staff members has other commitments. So, I'm going to ask you to go to discussion of building, plumbing issues and costs, possible vote on remedial measures. And in your packet, you see a memorandum from Mike Seven, our Director of Maintenance. Also recently passed out, just a little bit before the meeting started, was a chart of plumbing estimates. So you'll want that on hand too. And also the North Coast Sewer and Drainage Estimate. So those are the things you'll want to refer to right now. As you remember, at our last meeting, we had a long discussion about plumbing problems. We will not repeat that long discussion. But at the end of the meeting, we did hit upon one thing that we wanted to try to see if it would fix the problem. And so Mike has gotten several quotes. His memo says 3, but it's actually not exactly 3. And I'm going to ask Mike to come up to the microphone to explain his efforts to get quotes for check valves. You might refresh our memory very briefly. What's a check valve and what quotes were you able to get?
Sure. Good evening, everyone. As we spoke about last meeting, we're going to go ahead and replace the 2 sump pumps as well as the check valves. And the check valve is what opens and closes to allow everything to discharge from the township property and closes to prevent any type of flooding, shell park bridge back up. So I did go out, as you see in front of you, I have 5 different companies on there. 2 companies came out which did not want the jobs.
So you mean they did not give us an estimate?
Correct. So one was the one that I started working with, and they did not want the job when they came back out again. The other showed back up, and once they were on site, they did not want to do flood control or go down into the pit. And then the other company, I was supposed to have something today and was pretty much blown off by them. So what I have is, and then other companies that you do call, you're looking at $75 to about $150 a charge for each company that comes out. So between the 2 that I do have, that you have in front of you, North Coast Sewer and Drainage Incorporated was the one that I'm recommending the board to go with. I was very impressed with their work, how they operated when they were here. So, and again, like it replaces our existing pumps as well as our check pumps.
All right. So your recommendation is that we go with North Coast Sewer and Drainage?
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
All right. Then do I have a motion from the board members to engage North Coast Sewer and Drainage to replace the check valves as discussed by Director of Maintenance? And as as set forth in the memo that he's prepared. All right, I have a
Any
motion.
discussion or?
Oh, well, if we have a motion on the table, we can then discuss it, sure. Or, I mean, normally we get a motion on the table first, but if you.
I did some due diligence on this particular company we're in. There's one lawsuit. Of course, now that I called it so fast, I don't have it in front of me.
But I'll make a motion to discuss and then possibly vote on the plumbing issues.
All right, why don't we just go ahead and discuss it? All right, does anyone have some comments on this?
Yes, I did. I looked up, I checked their name, and I found one lawsuit against them.
And when you say date, which one are you referring to?
The one that we're deciding to
North Coast?
hire. Yes,
North Coast, okay,
yes.
all right.
I like their estimate, though. I thought the price was reasonable in the sense they told us what the labor and materials were. They didn't say how many hours, though. So it looks like if you assume it's $60 an hour, it's 4 or 5 days of work.
I think when he was out, he said it was like about a day or two, just, yeah.
So it's pretty high labor rate. It's probably over $150 an hour. But anyway, I thought the price was good. I commend Mike for his work in finding them. And the one lawsuit that I found, that, of course, I can't locate it right now, didn't really concern me too much. Okay,
I'm
city
sorry, Jim,
Chicago.
I'm not hearing you. Did you say we're not concerned about it?
I looked at the lawsuit, Karen, and I don't think it's a big deal. But just all it is an allocation. It looks like a city of Chicago may have had a permit license issue at one time. That's how it looked like to me. So then I just wanted to let the board know that I looked them up, and that was the only lawsuit I could find. I think Mike's done a great job of finding them. Just wanted to make that. And I had a complaint here, of course.
All right, well, thanks for looking that up. Thanks for
Yeah, sure.
making sure there's nothing seriously troubling about them.
Yeah.
All right.
Run the back.
Kelly, were you going to say something, or did I miss? No. No? Okay. All right, Austin, how about you?
No, sorry.
All right, okay. So do I have a motion then to hire North Coast Sewer and Plumbing and Drainage to perform the work as set forth in the memo for their bid of $4,630? Do I have such a motion?
I'll make a motion.
So moved. Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Any further discussion on this? All right, hearing none, we have a roll call.
Okay, Supervisor Diamond,
Yes.
Trustee Corba,
Yes.
Trustee Malcolm,
Yes.
Trustee Honey,
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. So we've dealt with that issue. And another one under old business is our auditor report and fund balance. Now, Brad Porter has been watching our meeting. He's over there on the screen. And we do have another matter under old business, but I think it'll take a little bit longer. So again, with your indulgence, I'd like to talk about the auditor's report. You know, we each received, or actually we should have received, a copy of the auditor's report in our board packet. There are 2 bound volumes. And I'm going to turn it over to Brad now to just briefly discuss what you did during your audit and your findings of the audit report. And when you do that, I also want you to explain or address why we actually have 2 bound volumes here, and what the difference is, and what your recommendations are. So if you could cover all of those in some introductory remarks, I'd appreciate it.
Absolutely. Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. That's step 1. First and foremost, I wanted to thank you for the flexibility here this evening. I know an abundance of caution is probably best that we got a little bit of a bug going around our office, so I thought it'd be beneficial to zoom in for the sake of tonight's meeting. My name is Brad Porter. I'm one of our principals at the firm Lauterbach & Amon, your auditing firm of the township. I'll be giving you a very brief recap of the fiscal year 2022 audit documents that we have issued this year. With this being the first year audit with us, first and foremost, I wanted to start by thanking the staff for all of their efforts. They were an absolute pleasure to work with. Dana, Supervisor Diana, and the rest of the team made sure that they were always attentive to our requests, that there was a seamless line of communication in place from start to finish. And I thought we had a lot of great conversation throughout the course of the audit as it relates to being open to feedback and suggestions, which we always appreciate as your auditors. There are 3 pieces of required communication that we issue at the conclusion of each of our audit processes, 2 of which are the bound documents that Supervisor Diamond had referenced, the annual financial report and the management letter. There's actually a 3rd piece of required communication that I just wanted to touch on. No need to pull up that document by any means. That is a 3-page letter that is in accordance with Statement on Auditing Standard number 114. In accordance with Statement on Auditing Standard number 114, we are required to state whether or not we had any disagreements or difficulties that we had encountered during our fiscal year 2022 audit process. And I'm happy to report that in the body of that 3-page letter, you will find no disagreements or difficulties noted. Moving on, I will jump into the annual financial report, which is going to be the thicker of the 2 bound documents that have been distributed here this evening. Does everybody have a copy in front of them? Fantastic. So I will reference a couple key pages throughout this audit. I realize there's a lot of material in here, so I'm always happy to have a follow-up conversation with any of you following tonight's presentation as well, so just something to keep in mind. We'll start with page 1. Hopefully everybody's with me. Page 1 is what we call our Independent Auditors Report. This is hands down the most important page within your audit document. In addition to stating your responsibility as management, which is to ultimately prepare a clean set of financial statements for us to work off of as your audit firm, we also go into what our responsibility is as your auditors, and that is to ensure that we're generating an opinion on the financial statements that have been provided to us. So you'll find in our opinions paragraph, we have issued what is known as an unqualified opinion for the fiscal year on February 28, 2022. An unqualified opinion is the cleanest form of opinion that any entity can receive in the governmental accounting space, so great job to the team. Ultimately, an unqualified opinion states that as your auditors, we believe the financial statements to be presented fairly in all material respects, and that there are sound internal controls in place over the financial reporting function. It's certainly important to kind of address the fact that we do a number of internal control walkthroughs prior to us actually doing our detailed fieldwork testing to ensure that we can rely on the internal controls that are in place. Turning to page 5, I certainly like to point this section out to boards. This is what we call our management's discussion and analysis section. I know the financial statements can oftentimes be quite difficult to understand at times, so this is what we call our MD&A section. And I would absolutely encourage you as a board to spend most of your time and energy investment in this section. It's going to really give a great narrative summary of the fiscal year, along with some charts, graphs, and financial highlights comparing fiscal year 2022 to fiscal year 2021. Please turn with me to page 22. On page 22, this is going to be your income statement for your 3 major operating funds, Town, General Assistance, and Road and Bridge Fund. You'll see each of those reported in their own columns there with comparative data to fiscal year 2021 as well. Ultimately, I'd like to highlight that 3rd line up from the bottom. It's called net change in fund balances. So for fiscal year 2022, we had about a $2.6 million reduction in our overall town fund balance, which in relation to the $2.2 million deficit that we had budgeted for fiscal year 2022, ultimately we weren't all that far off as it relates to actual experience. So just something I wanted to mention there. And in terms of ending fund balances, we're at about just shy of $3.5 million in the town fund, $893,000 in general assistance, and about $3.8 million in road and bridge. I'd like to also point out that on page 47 is going to be a lot of your more detailed budgetary information. Again, one of those schedules that's a little bit tricky to understand, so I wanted to point out something as you go through your analysis of the budgetary information for the town fund. That over and under budget column can be a little bit confusing. Ultimately, numbers that are in parentheses would indicate an unfavorable variance as it relates to budget. whereas figures that are not parenthesized will be favorable budget variances. So certainly something that I wanted to point out. I know it was something Supervisor Diamond and I had talked about on our phone call yesterday, as I get it can be a little bit confusing, but certainly wanted to point this page out to you as you can kind of assess which revenue source or expenditure function had come in over or under budget moving forward. Now, the third piece of required communication that we issue is what we call a management letter. And in the first year, a management letter is one of the most important documents to address. Ultimately, it's going to cover any of our best practices, recommendations, any upcoming accounting policies, or ultimately any internal control recommendations that we had identified. So first and foremost, very happy to report we had no internal control recommendations identified for fiscal year 2022, which again just goes to show the safeguards that are in place over township funds. In year one, it is very rare to not have any internal control recommendations on that front. So again, great job to the team in terms of the safeguards that they have in place. We have 4 current recommendations that are identified throughout the management letter, each having their own designated purpose. The comment number 1 is in regards to an upcoming accounting pronouncement, which is GASB 87. GASB 87 is going to change the way in which leases are reported within your audit. So at this point in time, the township does not have any applicable assets. This is simply a management letter comment that is going within each one of our management letters that we issue as a firm. So it is more for transparency purposes than anything in the event that the township were to enter into some degree of a lease arrangement in the upcoming fiscal year. The next 2 comments are outstanding check policy and capital asset policy. These should be relatively familiar to you as the team had already gone above and beyond to implement both of these policies prior to the preparation and presentation of the audit, which I think, again, goes to show just the attentiveness to this audit process that staff has placed. I think it's a great thing to have both an outstanding check policy and a capital asset policy in place. Those are 2 of the big best practices policies that we see across a lot of our township bases, and ultimately the reason why they were included in our management letter this year. Now, the final current recommendation that we had was in regards to a fund balance policy. I know that is on the agenda here for this evening. So in accordance with GASB 54, I wanted to stress this is a best practices policy. This is not a required policy to have in place. Ultimately, a fund balance policy sets the minimum fund balance targets for the township, town fund, road and bridge, and general assistance funds, pardon me. The policy really, there's no specific requirements on what those minimum targets need to be. It is very, very dependent on each unit of government, what their long-term capital objectives and long-term financial planning objectives are, etc. They're not necessarily a cookie-cutter policy that can be, simply implemented with not much of a detailed financial process that the township would need to go through. So it is absolutely one that we're happy to work with the team on. It's always great to get kind of our final blessing as it relates to the draft policy to implement down the road. Again, we see a lot of these fund balance policies. We help a lot of organizations determine what would be an appropriate minimum based on the factors or the demographics within that specific organization. So that's kind of the baseline of what this comment represents and what we're really trying to accomplish. It can indicate things such as once our fund balance exceeds a maximum amount, what is the township going to do in terms of placing funds in reserves or specific capital projects down the road, etc. So I hope that kind of helps clear up any confusion that you might have had. But I am absolutely happy to open it up to any questions at this point. That kind of concludes my coverage of the 3 documents that we have issued.
Thank you very much, Brad, for your comments on that. And what I'd like to do now is open the floor up to any questions that the trustees may have about the audit in general, and about any questions they might have about your recommendations in terms of a fund balance policy. We did pass the other 2 policies 2 meetings ago, but we've tabled the fund balance draft policy for a couple of meetings now. So so that trustees could ask you any questions that you might have about this recommended policy. So I'd like to open the floor up to the trustees to ask any questions they might want to ask.
I mean, I guess I would be curious to know, and I don't know if this is something you can just give us now or if we need to look at it, but what your suggestions would be for the minimums and all of that for the fund balance.
As it relates to minimum targets,
Yes.
yeah, I think that would probably be best to have a little bit of a follow-up conversation on that. There are a number of factors, without having any understanding of, hey, we'd like to have 3 months of operating reserve expenditures as our target, or without having that baseline understanding of the township's, fund balance objectives, it's very difficult for me to make a recommendation on that.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that's great.
But it usually is based on number of months of operating expenditures. That's a pretty common applicable practice that we see in the industry. So if that helps kind of point you in the right direction in terms of, what would be an appropriate minimum, I think that would definitely be a good starting point.
Okay.
Asif?
Yeah, Brad, I have a question about this minimum fund policy.
Sure.
Because this is, I think, the more concern of the highway commissioner department. So did you guys talk to Eddie about that, and he's satisfied with this, and why we need it? And second part of my question is, let's say in future, we need something in an emergency and we need more money. So how are we going to handle that?
I heard a couple bits and pieces of that. The audio was a little bit shaky. I apologize. But I did hear why do we need it. And again, this is not a mandatory policy. It's simply a policy that's more of a best practices across the governmental accounting space. So it's not necessarily required. It's just more so something that we would suggest having as a best practices policy in place.
Okay, second part of my question is, let's say we need, in emergency, we need $100,000. But we are on the cap where the minimum our balance is. So how are we going to handle that?
So the target can be both a dollar amount or it can be based on a number of months expenditures. So if you were ever to fall below your target, there would not necessarily be an additional management letter comment issued. It would be more of, for transparency purposes of, we've got a little bit of a situation in our hands. Why did fund balance fall below the established target? And kind of what are our remedy actions in terms of being able to overcome that fund balance deficit?
And does this policy requested by the Highway Commissioner Department or Maine Township?
No, that was not specifically brought up to them. It was more so, these are comments that would typically be brought to the board meeting. I know Supervisor Diamond and the team had a chance to review the audit. So once the audit documents were released, I'm not sure necessarily if they had been dispersed to each of the respective departments or not.
Okay, thank you.
Again, sorry, the audio is a little shaky, so if there was any portion of your question that you'd like a follow-up to, I'm certainly happy to address that. I know Supervisor Diamond has my contact information, so.
Okay. Did you have another question, Jim?
No, I'm not.
Okay, all right. Go
I
ahead.
just had a quick question. Since we have your expertise here, I'm not a financial, that's not my background. Could you tell us a little bit about what you mean by capital assets? You say we should have a policy on our capital assets.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so we're familiar, some of us, with those terms.
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. Ultimately, any governmental organization should be setting what we call a capitalization threshold. And that threshold would be used, oftentimes it'll be 5,000, 10,000, 50,000, depending on what the nature of that specific asset is. Larger infrastructure type projects may have a higher threshold than a piece of equipment where you're capitalizing a laptop or something along those lines. But ultimately, the process of capitalizing assets is basically taking it out of expense in the first year of acquisition and moving it up to your balance sheet. When it's hanging out there in your balance sheet, you then depreciate it, and that income statement effect kind of smooths out over the useful life of that designated asset.
Okay.
So the capital asset policy doesn't necessarily, you had a capitalization threshold that your former auditors had used prior to us coming in. Our recommendation was to put something in writing that allows, a little bit of substantiation to that old concept, of which the team has, again, already done. Does that help answer your question?
I think so. We're targeting the depreciable assets, objects. Let's say instead of the money that comes into the township.
Yeah, so depreciable would be things that depreciate versus land, which does not. Land would be a non-depreciable asset. Construction and process would be a non-depreciable asset because that you can't depreciate something that's not in service or placed into service yet. So depreciable would be the cars you got sitting out front or pieces of equipment that are going to wear out over time.
Thanks a lot. That's all very
No
good.
problem.
All right, I'd like to turn to our other elected officials to see if they have any questions or comments or about the audit. Ed, I'm going to turn to you to see if you'd like to ask any questions or make any comments on the audit or the management letter.
I'm just a quick comment. I just wanted to thank Brad for his time. And my other comment was, obviously we're held to a standard for exceeding a certain amount of funds by state law. However, I don't feel that at the highway department we should adopt the minimum that's listed on this policy. So I'd like to, I just want to go on record to say that I'm not going to be signing this.
Okay, all right, fine. I mean, and that's certainly an option. It is a recommended policy, but not absolutely required. Okay.
Yeah, if I could just add, you're not required to set a target for every one of your funds. You can set it for one fund. If it's the town operating fund, great. Ultimately, the highway team does not need to establish a fund balance policy for this comment to be implemented. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Great.
Susan, did you want to ask any questions?
I think I'm good. Thank you for your time this evening. Nice presentation. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
All right. Okay, I think everyone has had an opportunity to ask the questions that they might. With respect to the fund balance policy, we've kicked this over a couple of meetings. We can adopt it. We have to put in a number here. What we have right here doesn't set an amount. So we can either set an amount, we can table it again, and if you're just not interested in doing it, I can ask for a motion and no one can make one. It'll die for lack of a motion. So what I'm looking for is either a motion to set a fund balance policy for the township, not for the road district, or a motion to table this matter if you want to talk about it later, or if you don't want to do it at all, you can just not make any motion at all.
Would it be possible to table it so that he could give us his input on whether he thinks these, like the 2.5% or 2.5 times and 3?
Well, yeah, 2.5 times is required by statute. That's our maximum.
Okay.
So, I mean, I suppose we could set an amount even lower than that if we wanted to, but that's our statutory maximum of what we're supposed to accumulate, no more than that. So really, what we're really looking at is, should we set a minimum balance? And if so, what should that minimum balance of our funds be? And again, I think it's, correct me if I'm wrong, Brad, it's just a way of townships guiding their future actions in terms of watching their spending and their levy to see if, look, are we hitting about what our savings should be in order to ensure the future operation of our body. Would that be right?
Yeah, well said.
Okay, thanks. All right. So, but as he said, it's optional.
Yeah, and I did want to add too, if you don't feel a minimum is necessarily appropriate for your organization, we can still satisfy the management letter comment without specifically stating what your minimum targets are. There are other things that the GASB 54 fund balance policies suggests, and that is certain, controls in place, what's our non-spendable fund balance versus our restricted fund balance. So there are ways to kind of get around setting a minimum per se, but I would certainly recommend maybe we have a follow-up conversation and, put the policy at table for an additional meeting. That way we can have a chance to at least review the policy.
I would also agree with Kelly, we should table it, because when I reviewed these materials, I didn't see anything about minimums or maximums. It was just, the recommendation was to set a policy on these three things. And it doesn't really focus on minimums or maximums, so, because that really isn't in the materials guys have discussed. And he brought up his issue, and we should table it to discuss some more. I'm not saying for or against it, but to find out what we want to do with our policy, on these three items. It's not just one, right? It's the check.
No, we already passed those first. We already passed those 2 meetings ago.
Okay.
So it's only the fund balance one that was still up in the air.
I see.
And I think your position is that, not that you don't know what amount you want to set in, but that you are not interested in adopting such a policy at all. Is that correct?
Just the minimum, yes.
It's just the minimum, because you know the statutory is.
Right,
So
exactly, we have to abide by that, but my concern is just that, and, like Brad said, there's things in place that we can address certain issues, but my feeling on it is, if there's a major emergency, and, we have to use reserves, and we're going against our own policy, it's kind of a double standard that we have, so that's
Just want to have flexibility in case
right, in
there's
case,
an
especially
emergency situation.
what's happening now, costs.
You bring up a great point there, though. You can actually use the fund balance policy as an opportunity to specifically in writing have that plan of attack in which emergency situations arise. So again, there's not really any strict guidance with the fund balance policy other than some required verbiage, which was all included in the template that we had provided. But there's a little bit of flexibility as it relates to the contents of the policy itself.
Okay. The last thing I think I heard is that some people were interested in maybe tabling it, but I didn't actually hear that motion. Does someone want to make that motion or not?
I would make a motion to table it pending, I guess I would like to get their input on what they suggest.
Okay.
That'd be a motion.
All right. Is there a second to the motion?
Yes, I would thank the gentleman as well for his presentation, and I would second the motion.
Okay. All right. Would you give us a roll call, please?
Trustee Diamond?
Yes.
Trustee Cora?
Yes.
Trustee Monder?
Yes.
Trustee Martin?
Yes.
All right. Okay, thank you very, very much for your presentation this evening and addressing the contents of your audit. So we may be in touch with you about this other matter soon. Okay?
Sounds great. Thank you all for your time.
All right.
It was a pleasure working with you this year. Thanks.
Yes.
All right, let's go on to other matters. Actually, we only have one large matter left under old business, and that's the discussion of website improvements and possible vote on website design presentations. So, at our last meeting, as you recall, we had a number of entities that had given us a response to our request for proposals, and one, I think there's 5 of them. No. I'm sorry, let's see, how many did we have? It was 5 or 6 originally. In any event, we decided that we were particularly interested in 2 of those. That would be Revise and Civic Engage. But at our last meeting, Trustee Kelly Corbett said, well, can we possibly get some more proposals by going to Upwork to see if maybe we can get some more reasonably priced proposals. So that was done, and we do have some more proposals now. And if you look at the chart that should be at your place that's labeled cost of 5 years for design and maintenance, I think you will want to refer to this chart right here. And the reason why this says cost for 5 years of design and maintenance is because each one of these entities, or almost each one of these, have an initial cost and then a maintenance fee that continues on every year thereafter. So to really try and compare them, you need to look at the whole picture. What are you going to pay up front? What are you going to pay every year after that for at least the first 5 years? And so that's what we have here. So on this large chart, we have revised and civic engaged. They were from the first batch of proposals. We looked at louder, but there was not much interest in them, and that would be true for web links also, and ego. And now I've lost it. All right, I'm going to ask Dana and Rich to step up to the podium to answer some questions.
How many houses in sharp extra copies?
I don't know if I have any extra copies.
Was it?
No, it's a chart. Here's one right here. Right.
All right, thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Okay, good evening. So, yes, hopefully everyone has this the spreadsheet that we put at your places tonight. So, I've included the 6 companies that we talked about last month, and then included 4 more companies. So, after consulting with Trustee Horvath, I want to thank her for sending me some information via email a couple weeks ago. I did reach out to other local website design companies, as well as freelance website designers registered on Upwork, which is a freelancing platform website. And I was able to set up several meetings over the last couple of weeks, and I met with some of those designers virtually. And with that being said, I do have this new updated spreadsheet in front of you for comparison purposes. So
just to add one thing right here, I think I know why I was confused. In the town web, in our packet, it says waiting on written estimate. But we never did get an estimate from them.
correct.
So we don't have 5 new ones.
We have
only
4.
have 4 new ones.
Correct.
So what we're really looking at tonight is the ones from last month, revised and civic engaged, were at the top of the chart. The next 4 we had ruled out at the last meeting. And now we have 4 new ones at the bottom of the chart: Cybernautic, Net Optimize, DigiStudios, and HopeHop. Would that be correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Okay. There didn't seem to be that much of a price discrepancy, with the exception of one company. However, in that proposal, I did not get as much detail, description, samples, or other information that the others provided me, and that was Nets Optimize. So this did not give me a clear picture of what really the company can do for us. But overall, if you look at my spreadsheet here, I think that you'll see most of the prices that we were quoted really did fall in the range of anywhere between 20 and 30,000. The memo that I have on top of all of the proposals, there, if you see, the prices don't match what I put in front of you today, and that is because I was remiss in also including the hosting and the maintenance fees. So I think it would be more accurate to refer to what was put in front of you tonight.
And again, that's the chart that says cost of 5 years.
Correct.
This is the final.
This is the final.
All right, okay.
Correct. So I think what I'm taking away from this is, after meeting with several more companies and freelance designers, it does appear to me that the prices really do fall within the same range of, again, lower to mid to upper 20s. You'll see, again, some of them work with other government organizations, some don't. For the timelines, they're a little bit all over the place, but again, mostly within, maybe 3 months to 6 months. Years of business fluctuates, but I think that tonight we are going to be hearing from 2 of the companies that were requested by the board from last month.
Right, because we did state at that time that we wanted an opportunity to actually ask questions of representatives from the 2 companies we're most interested in, Revise and Civic Engaged.
Exactly. I just want to point out the bottom 3 organizations or freelance times that I talked to. Unfortunately, they don't have experience. They were lovely, and I think they gave great proposals. Unfortunately, they don't work with other government organizations. I wish that they did. But you'll see that I have no under that column. So if you have any questions, let me know.
Go ahead.
I do see one thing on here, the one company of the new companies that you got quotes from that stuck out to me was the Cybernautic. And just one thing on here, it says hosting platform, it says WordPress, but they actually don't use WordPress, and the one thing they said is that they use something called Editor, which is their own proprietary content management system. And so one thing that I thought was interesting, they said they do not hold websites on WordPress, and one of the biggest reasons is that it's the most hacked content management system. So it might be something to consider, although I think the Revise and Civic Engage don't use that either, so I think maybe that's just something to consider.
Okay, and the last three do use WordPress.
Yeah, it just looks like a lot of them do.
I think it's WordPress we're using now, is that right? Which
Correct.
has been described to us as being somewhat limited.
Yeah, I mean, it's very user-friendly from a basic standpoint, but I don't know, when I read that, I like that they had this
Okay.
sort of proprietary thing. So I just wanted to make that notation.
Okay,
All right.
thank you for making that correction.
Okay. So I focused sort of on Revise, Civic Engage, and Cybernautic based on what you just mentioned. One thing that was, I can't remember if we mentioned it at the last meeting or if it came up in later discussions, is that we may be able to use the services provided by these companies and the website that they design to eliminate what we now spend on seamless docs. So we pay an annual fee for seamless docs, which has gone up quite a bit. It looks like it will continue to go up over the coming years. And so we would be able to save money doing that. Now, what I'm passing out to you now, I don't think I passed this out already. Here, Kelly, can I take one of these? Is a chart of what we pay to seamless docs, or what we will pay to seamless docs in the coming years. But every year, I understand their price goes up 10%. So it's been less than previous years, it's been less. But now it's going to continue to go up based on what I'm told is their price structure. So I think a big thing to consider is if Revise and or Civic Engage can, or Cybernautic can allow us to eliminate what we pay for seamless docs, that would be a big savings for us. And actually, we would save money altogether by, this would not end up being, spending more money. It's actually spending less money if we're able to do that. So I think, Dana, you and Rich have talked about this and gone over this. Rich, would you step up here too in case we have any other questions regarding this? Because I know you've been doing our website for years and have spent some time looking at this. So can you address this particular issue of seamless docs, what it does, and what Revise or Civic Engage, or if you know Cybernautic, what any of those website providers can do in terms of eliminating our need to also pay seamless docs?
Certainly. Last week, it's been many months since I've had demos of the Civic Engage or the Revise platform, so just to refresh my memory, I had a little mini demo from the representatives that are here tonight from both Revise and Civic Engage at the end of last week, and compared the interactive forms product that both of them offer. While there are some similarities, there are some distinct differences, and the Civic Engage forms product is just basic kind of web forms, submit some fields, whereas the Revise product is much more robust in that it can do probably 90% of what the Seamless Docs GovOS product does. It doesn't do everything, but I think it does enough where we could look at the cost savings of moving away from that product next year. So I was very pleased with the demonstration that they had given, and they could probably show you that tonight during the presentation if you'd like to see it for yourselves. But it would do most of what we need, what we currently have with double S or seamless stocks.
And is that revised?
That's revised.
All right. What about Civic Engage?
In the package that they presented, they don't have that capability. They have another product that they said normally costs about $14,000 a year. That they could maybe get to us for about half that, about $7,000, but that was not included in the proposal. That would be an additional cost. And that would be an annual cost.
All right. And now, I don't know, we just heard from Kelly that Cybernetic uses a different hosting platform than we thought. Did you have a chance to look at them to see whether or not they offer a service that could allow us to eliminate relying on seamless docs?
I looked at the proposal. I didn't see anything in there that would definitively state one way or the other, but it seemed like they're probably offering more of a basic forms module, kind of similar to what the others were presenting, but without actually talking to someone from the company or looking at a demo. I can't say 100% what it would look like, but my assumption is that the answer probably would be no.
Okay, all right. Dana, I know you've spent a lot of time looking at all these brochures and talking to people too, and have continued to do that over the past month. Is there anything that you wanted to add to what we're discussing tonight before we actually bring the representatives on the screen?
No, I think Rich and I obviously did a lot of talking, and I think we're both in agreement that it does seem like revise, although it's possibly, it does seem to be the best package. And if it's going to include seamless docs, obviously that would save us money in the long term. So it still seems, even after I met with some of these other companies, with freelance designers, it still seems like that is going to be our best bet at this time.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to ask one of you to, well, I suppose I can, how's the best way to word the question to them in terms of whether they provide a service that is comparable to seamless docs? Or maybe I could just ask that if they're familiar with it, I don't know.
I mean, it's a fillable form, it's a platform.
Fillable form.
I can answer that question. So during the live Zoom demos I had with both representatives last week, I actually showed them some of the examples of forms, so they're familiar with that. And Civic Engage said that they don't have something like that. Although included in the package would be an additional potentially $7,000.
$7,000 each year for?
Right.
Oh.
Yes. So with the Civic, I'm sorry, with the Revise demo, we went over the functionality and looked at what it could do, which again was probably about 90% of what we're doing currently, and also looked at some of the things that it couldn't do. So they're familiar with it because they just saw some examples of what they used before.
All right, are you concerned about the few things they can't do? Is that something that we would need? I don't know what it is that they can't do.
You know, it's a little bit of a different structure in terms of setting things up, but for the cost savings, in my opinion, I think we could get by with like a slight reduction in functionality. The basic functions are still there. I would have a hard time justifying going up to $8,000, $9,000 a year for the slight differences that we can with it. A couple other things about Revise that are different from the other proposals. Every 3 years, if we choose, they are including a free redesign, so there'd be no additional cost for that. And they have one other difference between any of the other proposals in that they're offering not just the homepage design and a standard interpage design, but also a unique homepage design, a unique department page design. So there'd be 3 design levels as opposed to what the other companies are offering, which would be 2. And they offer a payment plan of $4,820 per year if you wanted to break that up over a 5-year period.
On the, under Revise, where it talks about the cost, it says cost $2,500 with the posting. Then it says ready to go design cost. What is that? What is ready to go design?
So that's an option to not do the custom design, but to pick from 1 or 4 template designs.
Oh, okay.
And those were included, I think they included screenshots of those in the proposal.
Okay.
So there would be no customization, there would be no
Sure.
department page design. It would be, pick one of these 4 and that's it.
Okay.
I just kind of want to comment real quick. They showed me some samples, and basically other organizations can have the exact same website that you have. I mean, the colors obviously could be different and whatnot, but, yeah, it would look exactly like somebody else's website. I don't think we want that.
Okay. All right. Okay, all right. Well, I think we have our visitors waiting.
I have a question.
Zoom. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah,
Just a question. Seamless docs, is that something that we insist on having? I know parents said we pay a lot of money for this. That's something we can't get elsewhere from another provider? We're worried whether these people will do it for us. Is that something that you guys need?
So every year when we renew the contract, I look at other comparable quotes, and they're actually more expensive for companies that do similar things. We actually have a pretty good deal with them when we started. We paid half the cost, so we started at $5,000. The starting cost was $10,000 normally because we have a limited number of forms. But with Revise, the forms, interactive forms module, which maybe they can demonstrate tonight because it's a little hard to understand once you actually see it. That does most of what the Seamless Docs platform does. Not everything, but I think.
But it's something you guys need. That's what I want to know. It's something you need and rely on. We want to keep that, right? That service, whatever they provide.
Well,
So the
if we can replace it with something like Revise's forms module, I think that might be something to consider.
Oh.
I mean, it has been really, really valuable, especially over the last 3 years during the pandemic, since we've done a lot more things electronically. So
Okay.
having something like that would be really.
You need, okay, that's all.
Yeah.
All right. What it is, okay. Thanks.
Did Revise have something, and maybe this is tied in with this forms, but does it have something that would help like review events and like people registering for events with campaign streamers and being able to track all that?
Yeah, so simple registrations can be handled through the forms module. They don't have a comprehensive package as far as event registration goes. Civic Plus has another package that does that. I think the cost was, if I remember correctly, $7,000 a year or something like that. But that could be added on depending. It doesn't matter if we went with Civic Engage or Revise. That's a standalone product that can be added there.
Do you know if, and I can ask them too, I guess, but do they have the ability to, like when you use WordPress and you go to like a third-party website, you can embed something from that into your website, it's like a form or something. Would you have that ability to do that with their product, or?
Yes, you can put, you can use embed code in any way to there.
Okay, so I mean, just as an option, like Eventbrite, for example, which is a platform where you could have the registration for events and things like that, we could still then, and it's free, we could still then do that and then embed it into the website, and then we would have that sort of event registration.
Right.
Great.
Okay, let's bring our first speaker on. I don't know, you want to do alphabetically, Civic Engage? Sure.
And from Civic Engage, we have Jacob Bertram and Richard Jones joining us.
Okay, all right. Do we have
How's it going?
Hi.
Hello. Thank you for joining us. I think we have Mr. Jones and Mr. Bertram, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you for waiting. We've been handling other matters during our board meeting now. But we appreciate you joining us here. We've looked at your proposal very carefully. At the last meeting, we discussed it and we wanted to, just meet with you and have a few questions about it. So would you like to start off by just telling us a very brief amount about your company, just to get things rolling, and then I'm going to ask the trustees for any questions that they might have. Mr. Bertram or Mr. Jones?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you very, very much. And I'm sorry, I struggled to hear you just a little bit, but I think that you said that you wanted a high-level overview of Civic Plus as a company.
That would be fine.
Perfect. Well, I will take that portion. So, is it okay if I share my screen?
Sure.
Okay. So Civic Plus is a company, we're in our 25th year. We only work with local government. Oh no, it actually says hosted as disabled internet sharing.
We're working on that.
I'm going to change that, so you should be able to share now.
There we go.
All right.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
So, Civic Plus, we're in our 25th year of service. We only work with local government. Our mission and our vision is to be the one-stop shop for local government, large and small. We offer a large portfolio of products that were built for local government, by local government. Civic Engage, that's our website hosting platform that we have responded to your bid with. But we offer a large portfolio of other products. The Civic Red, that's our park and recreation management. Civic Ready, emergency management, mass communication. C-Click Fix. Has anybody in the room ever heard of C-Click Fix before? That's the 311 and citizen request. Software, Civic Gov, this is everything permitting and planning. Civic Optimize, this is everything converting all of your paper processes into an encrypted form or digital workflow. MuniCode, this is codification. Civic Clerk, agenda and meeting management, as well as online voting, online polling, closed captioning, and then Civic HR, this is applicant tracking, performance management, and employee onboarding. Now, the cool part about Civic Engage is there's a version of each one of these products that's included within that package. But should you say, hey Jacob, we really like the jobs module where people can go online and look at the jobs that are out there, but we need a way to manage our employees after they apply and hire them. That's when you would jump into the Civic HR piece. Does that relationship make sense and that handoff? Does that make sense to you all?
I think so.
Yes.
Okay. So, are there any questions about Civic Plus as a whole? Or are there proposal-specific questions that you would like us to talk through?
Well, I think one thing we were focused on was whether or not Civic Engage offers any fillable forms or will create them for its website, and if so, what type they are, or if that's not something that you do on your websites.
Sure. Richard, were you able to hear that question, and can you respond to that for me?
Yeah, absolutely can. Good evening, everyone. Can you repeat that question one more time? One part that I heard when you mentioned about forms.
Do you create fillable forms for our website? And is that something that you can provide for us, or not, or to a limited extent?
Yeah, okay, very solid question. So yes, we can absolutely create online fillable forms for you. And yes, we can guide you through on how to fill those forms for your team. So one of the things I also understand is you're currently using Seamless Docs. Fantastic solution. But if you can use that for specific use, let's say different information, encrypted, you're asking about salary forms, so we can absolutely use our solution and complement Seamless Docs. So there's nothing you have to replace, you can actually use what you're currently using today.
So, I'm sorry, I'm not hearing everything you said either, but it says that you can work to complement Seamless Docs, but that would be assuming we do have Seamless Docs, is that right?
That's correct.
Oh, okay. All right, but we would have both, is what they're saying.
So would that be included? Would that be included in the price, or that would be extra outside of the proposal?
So our online fillable forms are included in the cost. Seamless Docs is a solution that you're using separately. And one of the things I can't stress enough, so Jake did a really good job talking about all the different solutions that we offer. Not only did other solutions, they offer an upgrade path. So the solution that we included on our website is essential government tools that we know citizens are asking for, that we know that you're going to use, that we know are going to be extremely helpful, in addition to 15 to 20 other different models that are included on the website. So what you have today, we can use. What you want to use tomorrow, we can offer.
Okay, I'm going to allow other trustees to ask any questions that they might have, or that our elected officials might have.
I'm a little confused on the pricing.
Go right ahead.
Is this the price that was quoted at $22,100? Is that 3 years? Because I'm looking at their price page in here, or is it because we're upgrading? I'm not simply understanding. Their price page list, standard list price and a discount price, giving us $9,500 for a year investment.
That 22,000 includes, so a lot of these sites will have like a monthly hosting fee that you, like maintenance fee. So the way I'm understanding this proposal or this spreadsheet is that in order to be able to compare these, we took what they're hosting, their $3,150 a year. That's their sort of like maintenance and hosting. And so that's over the span of 5 years.
Right.
That amount with the $9,500 to do the initial design is what that $22,000 total is.
Right.
So that's what that
for
is.
5 years? 5 years,
Yeah.
right.
So that was the one way since
I
everything.
didn't get the spreadsheet. We didn't get it.
Oh, I'm
down here.
sorry.
Did you get down there? Was it on your board?
Here's an extra one.
That's my.
Okay.
Yes, this is
Non
on
form, I think.
And if you have it, good.
No, we need.
So it sounds like the answer to the question is $22,100 would include the services Civic Plus wants to provide, plus 5 years of addition of hosting and maintenance, or 3 years? 5 years, right? Is that what we're talking about? For a total of $22,100. Right?
Yes.
Right.
Okay, very good.
So are they able to help us out with the Seamless Docs?
We'll get an answer to that. Can you hear me okay?
Richard?
Yes.
Richard, I'm sorry, Richard.
Thanks, Richard. What we were asking is, we want to incorporate the services that Seamless Docs provides into whatever your service is, and whether that's going to be extra. I think you mentioned assuming we have it already, is what I think you said. So that's what we want to know, is that something you can incorporate or not in what your proposal is.
No, that's a good question. So Seamless Docs is a service that you utilize today. That is not a Civic Plus solution. We do offer a forms tool that's included with our content management system. We can help you to create those forms when we take you through implementation. Seamless Docs does allow you to gather that encrypted or that HIPAA or PII personal information that the included solution does not allow you to do. So you don't want to bring in people's social security numbers on one of our standard online billable forms. But today, you're using seamless docs, and you're paying for seamless docs, and that's something that you could do with that service, which is why Richard leaned on, it's absolutely possible, to work hand in hand with your current seamless docs. We do offer a solution that's a seamless docs replacement that is not included.
And how much extra would that be?
The seamless docs replacement?
Yes.
It's around $6,000 annually.
Per year, is that right?
Per year, correct.
Okay. All right. Do we have any follow-up questions on that issue? Do we have any other questions regarding the proposal in general? Or from the elected officials? Because you will use our webpage too. Okay. All right. If there are no other questions, I think Mr. Jones and Mr. Bertram, I think that's all that we have right now to go over. Thanks for speaking with us and helping us to clear up some questions that we have. We appreciate your waiting on hold for a while, and we'll let you go now while we move on to other matters. So thank you for joining us this evening.
Hey, thank you for having us. I apologize that I was struggling to hear you talk.
Sorry if our connection was not good.
Okay, well, the guy right next to you with the beard, what's his name?
Richard.
Yeah, that's who I thought. Richard, it's all your fault. I'm blaming you.
Thank you.
That's what we do with Mr. Jones as well. We just blame everything on Richard, so.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks guys, have a great evening.
All right, good evening. Bye-bye.
So Richard, before you let the next person in, is that, do we collect a lot of encrypted data that we need to, is that something that we?
We don't collect social security numbers, but we do collect addresses, emails, phone numbers, some personal information as far as income on our applications. So there is some personal information that we can collect, which is not.
I don't think we do this now, but I don't know if Maureen can do it in the future in terms of collecting credit card numbers for charging mainstreamers events. Again, we don't do that yet, I don't think.
The form wouldn't be what we use to collect the credit card information from, but Revise does have a payment option attached to the form, so you can have a form that has a cost for signing up for that event or whatever, and then it can be processed through their payment process.
Okay, all right. Would you please admit a representative from Revise?
Okay, so we have Robert joining us.
All right.
Robert, can you hear us? His audio is still.
Yeah, today.
Just send an email
no, so on.
Okay. Do we want to pause waiting and perhaps pick some agency funding dates in the meantime?
Sure.
Unless it's something we need. Okay, so while we're waiting for Robert to possibly join us, I would like to make sure we're not wasting time just waiting. So if you would all look at your calendars, we do need to also
Should we
choose.
do that now without Kim here, without knowing that we're going to select dates right now?
Well, we do need to sort of get moving and selecting some dates. And some of the proposed dates are in September. 3 of them are in September. And, you know, it is often the case that one person or another can't make all the dates, and that has happened. So let's see if we can choose some dates. Hopefully they're ones that Kim will be able to make. And if she isn't, then it is sometimes the case that not all of us end up making a meeting anyway, although we all try to.
We don't have to have perfect attendance.
No, but if we have a quorum anyway, that would be good.
Because we picked 3 dates. Is that what we should pick?
Let's see.
The first date was out for me, I will not be there in the first dates.
All right, we need 3 funding hearing dates. So, all right, let's just get out of these dates, and if it's not a good date, just say bad date, something. All right, September 13th.
Bad date for me, will not be there.
September 15th. September 21st. October 11th. That might not be a good day, so maybe not. October 13th. October 18th. October 19th. November 1st. And November 2nd. So it sounds like most of these dates are good dates for us, that we can make all of these dates. So do we want to choose some in September, 1 in September, 1 in October, 1 in November? It doesn't matter, or is it better to just get them done early? All right, why don't we choose some early dates, and if we find that we really are not going to be able to get everyone here, we can move them. All right, so let's choose September 15th, September 21, and October 13th. And if it turns out that one of these dates are
Is
not
there a reason
good,
why we're
we'll have
lumping
some
them
other
so,
dates.
is there a reason why we're lumping them so close without Kim here? Does they have to be done by October 13th?
No. All right, Jim, you suggest whatever date you like.
Well, I just, maybe we should pick 1 September and 2 in October.
Okay.
Instead of-
All right, fine.
That'd be fine.
Which dates would you like?
I think I'll be available on all these dates except for that very first one, so thank you. But other than that, I have no preference. Unless a seat might want to. Yeah, I have no issues with the dates.
All right, so why don't you suggest some dates?
Okay, I mean, let's space it out to the first one in October, which is October 13th.
That's the first one you want to do?
No, just September 15th. We'll
Okay.
follow your lead on that.
Okay.
I'm thinking October 13th and maybe October 19th, or
Oh.
18th. If you prefer 18th, I suppose that's okay too. Yeah. Okay.
Depends if you want a Tuesday or a Thursday or Wednesday, I suppose.
Let's do Tuesday, the 18th. All right, so the dates I have, did I do correctly? Be Thursday, September 15th, Thursday, October 13th, and Tuesday, October 18th. Is that correct? Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yeah, that's right. We said it.
September 15th, October 13th, and October 18th.
All right, okay.
Now it's
All right, so we have our dates.
Get those
Jamie,
dates
do you have those
together.
dates? Jamie, do you have those dates? Okay. Alicia, do you have those dates, guys? Okay.
We could always, if you want, we could always throw the 21st in there as
Yes.
a possible fourth date in case Kim, I don't know.
All right, so right now we're planning on seeing each other on September 15th.
Yeah.
Right, agency funding. Okay, all right. And we can revisit this at the next meeting if need be. Okay, all right. Now, what about Robert?
All right, we're good, he's here.
All right, fine, thank you. Okay.
You guys hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Yes.
Hello, Robert. I understand you are from Revise, is that correct?
Yes, you got it. We make websites for all different types of governments, townships, municipalities, counties. Definitely excited to show you guys kind of what we have to offer and some things I've showed Richard and other folks, and Dana as well, in a couple different demos.
All right, would you like to give us just a very short overall description of your company? Just a
Yeah, sure.
few minutes.
We've been around for about 25 years, give or take, here in Troy, Michigan. We work with roughly 2,600 clients nationwide and have a lot of different types of clients ranging from townships, counties, municipalities, nonprofits, but we focus on government websites. Our content management system is geared towards folks that aren't super technical, so you don't need to know a lot about really anything about writing code or anything complicated to make edits on the website and add content. And residents will have really nice form solutions. We have a lot of different additional applications that we would be including for you in your service. But yeah, in a nutshell, we specialize in making government websites and providing service for the site.
So tell us about your form solution.
So if I'm actually gonna share my screen here, I can show you guys. So first I'll touch on a couple different designs. We actually work with the city, I'll get rid of my email here, City of Park Ridge. Can you guys see the screen, by the way?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So this is the City of Park Ridge. If you've never been to the website, it's definitely a nice looking site. But we would be able to make the site just as nice looking as this for you guys for the pricing proposed. And then I'll touch on that forms application and some other cool features too. But homepage looks nice and eye-catching. It's large in terms of the content that's being viewed, so folks that might be hard of vision can easily access the content here. If you notice, there's a little button here that shows an accessibility menu, which is great for folks that are hard of vision as well, because your current site is not optimized 100% efficiently for folks that are using screen reader software. And that's something that we specialize in and kind of single ourselves out compared to other folks that might be local or not as experienced in working with government clients. There's a set of guidelines and stipulations that we have to code according to make sure the website works properly with those screen readers. And so we code to those guidelines. The level of designation is called the 2.1 AA level of the Web Content Accessibility Guideline. So that's something that we really focus on here. Aside from making the design look user-friendly and easy to find information, we're also going to be able to be optimized perfectly for folks that are hard of vision. Cool tools. Here you can space things out, saturation, low color saturation, high color saturation, grayscale. Just a nice little tool that's automatically included for no additional cost or anything like that. The design process is pretty unique. We actually will start off with a kickoff meeting where we discuss the look and feel of your website and exactly what you'd like to achieve. So we'll take a look at a new site real quick. So going to Park Ridge, they started off with a kickoff meeting where we discussed the look and feel, and they filled out a questionnaire that kind of gave us an idea of what they were looking for, but it was more of an interactive process where we kind of spoke to the team there at Park Ridge and kind of got exactly what they wanted to have on their homepage, and we came back to them with a kickoff meeting time and date, and then we scheduled a meeting and discussed the design and gave them a concept after that meeting. So this is the exact design. They approved the first one. Now you can get multiple revisions if you'd like. You don't have to approve the first design, but once you approve this design, then we would start working on your website. It takes about 3 to 6 months depending on the client's needs and how quickly folks could get back to us, but that is the final product here. As you can see, also great on a mobile device. So I shrink it down to the size of a tablet or a phone. I don't have using a different computer right now. I don't have my mobile device generator, but same size as the phone, as you can see, fits perfectly. As you can see there. And there was a lot of other software that's going to be included in modules that you'll be able to utilize and the residents will be able to utilize. So touching on one of the ones, probably the most exciting one here that Richard and I have been talking about this a lot, is our forms application, as I mentioned before. There's a lot of capabilities with this. There's simple forms that you can make for FOIA requests, for job applications, anything you can think of really. There's a payment system that would be linked up with this where residents can pay for things online within a digital form, and then you're notified on your end, and then everybody in your administration can be notified at different times or all at the same time. It's kind of up to you. So here's an example form. This is a job application, but it could be anything. Building them is really easy. We could also pre-make a handful of forms for you to start, and you can use those as templates as starting points. As you can see, it kind of mimics a PDF document. These are kind of meant to replace PDF documents because PDFs are always emailed individually to somebody in their inbox and they can get kind of disorganized or you can lose track of them. So we have a centralized software system that kind of manages all of these submissions. So say someone submitted this form here, you'll be notified via email, and you can click the link in your email to view the filled out form. You can always log into the app as well and take a look at your repository. I have a bunch of different types of forms here. So for example, dog licenses, these are all just sample forms. None of these are actually real forms. But all of our clients are able to utilize this really effectively and keep things streamlined online. When you log in, you're going to see any attachments that are uploaded with the form that residents submitted, along with any payments information. This form does not have a payment, and you're not required to have payments if you don't want to, but it will show the record of the payment here in this gray box. It would show the dollar amounts, any reference numbers or ID numbers that are associated with the transaction as well. As you scroll down, you can view the full form that's been filled out. So this can be used for paying rent. It can be used for anything you guys want to or can think of. If the township is working with housing, if you guys have different housing developments, they can pay rent online, they can do whatever you want, FOIA requests, anything you can think of. So down here at the bottom, in the history section, it shows any changes you've made, comments you've added, and this is all communicated to your coworkers via email as well. And then down here, all the way at the bottom, is the update submission area. I've added a ton of comments, so it took a little longer to scroll down, but you can change the status, the priority, due date.
Okay, Robert, we don't need to know how to do every single little thing. I think we just sort of move along a little bit, I think, here. But I want to give the trustees an opportunity to ask any specific questions that they might need to ask, and also to elect the elected officials who also rely on our website to ask any questions that they might have.
Sure.
All right. Anything regarding the forms or any other questions you might have about the proposal we received from Revise?
The seamless issue, seamless tax issue.
Right. So, right. I think this would contain all the forms that we might want to use. Richard, are you?
Yes, that's what he demonstrated was what I was talking about earlier.
That would allow us to eliminate using seamless tax.
Yes.
All right.
One quick question about your forms. The way that they sort of store the information and everything, would they be useful for like event registrations and things like that if we
Definitely. You can sign up for any type of events or say you have something that's reservable by chance, they can reserve that online as well. Whether it's signing up for an event or making a reservation for a park shelter or something like that. There's a calendar system built into the Forms app.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Other questions, concerns?
Just thank you, Robert.
Who updates the calendar? We do, or they? Are we
I'm sorry, say that again.
Do we have the capability to update the calendars ourselves, or do they do it for us?
Well, I don't know. Would we provide information to you to add to the webpage, or is that something we would have to do? Because our calendars have to be constantly updated.
We would have you guys update major edits on your own once we've migrated your content over. So say you have your current site as it is now laid out. We may want to reorganize it depending on what you guys decide. But we will bring all of your content over. And then once we organize the content for you on the new site and you're live, you'll be able to add new content as you need to with the content management system.
And form another application to go along with that date?
Sorry, you broke up there. Can you repeat that real quick?
And if we need different dates to put into the calendar, are we able to also put out a new form for that date to possibly sign up for, or?
Oh yeah, definitely. Of course, you can link any form you made to any event on your calendar whatsoever, and just show you what a calendar would look like with us. Page calendar. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. But you have color coding here, and each one has a lot of details. If you click on each one, it shows details, it shows Google Maps location. You can add a link to the form in here, and they can sign up right off the bat.
Right, so I think if I'm understanding, you're sort of giving us the product and getting it all set up, but then we still have control over creating the forms and putting in the content and adding the dates and
maintaining it.
Right, so we don't have to like wait for them to do it, but we can just do it.
You got it.
Okay.
Yeah, you have control over it. And if you need us to help you for some reason, or say one day you have some questions, you can always call our tech support line and we can help you out live on the phone with any edits or questions you have.
Well, the color coding would be nice because you can have all the mainstreamer events as one color and, you know, all the different events. And that would be a nice way for people to filter out.
Very much like Cantini has that type of calendar,
The Spice Library is like that, yeah.
Color coding for Marty Cook's department too. Special color for her.
Any other questions from the elected officials?
Any movement on your price?
Can you say that one more time? I didn't hear.
Any movement on your price?
The price that we've quoted you is pretty much, it's going to be able to be built out over multiple years. So say, for example, you guys didn't want to pay the $10,000 in the first year. We can break that cost up over 5 years in total. And so we would take the payments that you would pay every year down drastically. I think there's a payment plan I put forth in the proposal, I believe, at the page after the price quote that shows a payment plan. I think the one I put on there was 3-year interest free, but I can do a 5-year interest free one as well. And so it cut down that total cost in year 1.
I don't think they do 5 years old. Well, this is our time limit. Or maybe just go on our second like that. 5 years.
It could be overturned before.
Right. We could do 5 years.
Subject to.
We could have it just like basically be an auto renewal that a new ordinance is signed to.
Okay. Okay. Robert, thank you very much for your presentation and for answering questions. And for waiting so long. I'm sorry we couldn't get to you until the time we did. So, Richard, you will wrap that up And Robert, again, thanks for joining us, and I think we're done with our session. Thanks again.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Robert.
Thanks, yeah.
All right, so we've got information on all these products now. Does anyone want to address whether or not they're leaning towards one product or another?
I mean, after I looked at all of these, over the weekend and went back and looked at a lot of their sample websites, and, I really like that sort of, that cybernomic one, but after kind of listening to the presentations and looking at some of the things they didn't have, I do like this revised, so if I had to pick, that would be my choice.
Okay. Jim?
I don't have a strong opinion on this, but I think we should, revise was one of the ones that jumped out at me too. I mean, we were down to revise and Civic Plus, and then, right, and I think Richard's comments, he's the one that's going to be utilizing it a lot, so, he said it's more robust than Civic. I think they're both good, and the township thinks we can afford this, and it's necessary to spend the money on it. I would vote for revise as well.
Right, well, I think the thing, yeah, I mean, we're gonna, we would be spending with seamless docks almost $50,000 over 5 years. I mean, if we could save that money, I mean, that's crazy.
We're really not spending any more money than we would have
Right,
otherwise.
so we're actually
saving some money.
we would get a new website for,
What we're spending
say,
now anyway.
$20,000, so it would actually be great, so I'm all for it.
Asif?
I'm not good in web design knowledge, so I take the opinion of Kelly and so it's great. So if they think, the Revive is a good company and they fulfill all of the necessity what we needed, so I think we should then go with that.
All right. But we'd like to hear your opinions too, Susan and Ed, because it's your website too.
Who would integrate, and who would put together like calendars, or getting the forms? Is it up to our Rich to do that? I mean,
I would continue to do that once the site is launched, yes.
You would teach us to do it?
It's set up so that multiple people can make changes to it, so certainly can if anyone's interested.
Okay. And then you add forms?
The forms would function the same way. You can set up...
we have a library of forms, or we have to create new forms?
Both. You can base a form off of a template or create a brand new form, and then different people can have access to certain forms.
So in a lot of how a lot of those form sites work with websites too is that you do have templates. So if you have like an event, you can have an event template, and you can just copy it and make changes, or if there's like something specific you need for the assessor's office that you'll use on, just have a template, so you don't have to like redo it every time, which saves a lot of time.
And do we have to do that with the Seamless Docs? Do we need to do that with them, or they have ours already set up?
No, I've done that with Seamless Docs where I've created forms from scratch, and then when it works, just like Trustee Horvath said, I've duplicated that form and then changed some fields just to make it easier than starting from scratch
So we
every
still
time.
have to do that with Seamless Docs anyway, correct?
Well, if we moved away from Seamless Docs to this solution, we would only need to do that with the new website and not with both.
I understand, but the function that Seamless Docs does, it's the same as going to revise.
So we would eliminate seamless docs.
They would do it for us, but they used to do it for us.
Save that cost.
But they did it for us, now we have to do it our own.
No, with Seamless Docs, they didn't do it for us. I did that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it'd be the same thing, just a different platform.
All right. Ed, did you have any questions?
No, I like the calendar feature and the feature to be able to pay for services. I think that's very useful for a lot of departments. And I think if Rich has support, Rich supports this, then I would support it because I know he's very into that stuff. So.
And thanks for your comments.
He'll be using it a lot too, so I think if he feels like it would, work for him, I think that's important.
All right. Based on what I've heard, I'd like to ask for a motion to engage Revise to redo our website in accordance with the proposal that they've submitted to us and provide all the services at the pricing quoted to us. And I would ask for leave to enter into a contract with them, subject to the approval of our attorney.
Actually, the question for Kurt, since you're here. There's nothing in the law that prevents us as a board from binding the township to a contract, even though it lasts longer than our terms.
There is a prohibition on that, yes.
All right, what is it? So thank you for bringing that up.
The purpose behind it is to try to prevent one board from saddling the next board with contracts that they can't control.
I see. So we're limited to, does that mean 3 years then?
Kurt, why don't you discuss how we might approach this issue?
So the way that we usually approach this is to avoid having the term run beyond this current board, is that we have I guess that 4th and 5th year just be renewal options. So that's the way we try and structure it. Explain to vendors that we have legal limitations. We can't have a term go that long. Can we form a structure where it's like we have an opportunity to renew, but there's not an obligation, so that way the new board's hands are not fouled, basically.
I would assume if they work with other townships and local governments, they would.
I'm sure they're familiar with
that.
Okay, thanks, Kurt. That understood. All right.
And another thing on the single stocks, so we just pay this renewal fee of the $7,300?
Yeah.
That was paid on April 1st of this year. So given the 3 to 6 month projected timeline for a new website, the April 1st renewal of 2023 positions us very well to get everything transitioned before the current term expires.
Okay.
All right. I would like a motion.
I will make a motion to enter into a contract with Revise in regards to redoing our website for the amount that they put in their proposal, including all the services that were in our proposal.
All right, do I have a second on that?
Yeah, I second.
Any further discussion?
Subject to our attorney's review,
Okay.
as you mentioned. Thank you, Kurt.
All right. We have a roll call.
Supervisor Diamond?
Yes.
Trustee Cordova?
Yes.
Trustee Malta?
Yes.
Trustee Mike?
Yes.
All right, great. Now, I did have one follow-up question I wanted to ask for the board members. The Revise we will be doing business with Revise, but they did have 2 alternatives in terms of how we could pay. Paying a large sum up front and smaller ones in the next few years, or paying relatively lower amounts for 5 years. Now, given what we've just discussed, our limitation, I think we might need to have some negotiations regarding that, exactly how those amounts are going to be structured. It's going to be the same overall amount, but it might be structured different in terms of what the payments are. So that's something that we will work with Revise and with Kurt in coming up with a final language of that contract.
Sounds good.
Is there any other questions or comments regarding this?
Nope.
Staff members? Okay. All right, fine. Let's go on to the next matter. The next matter is actually agency funding. We already discussed that. Then the final matter under new business is discussion of possible vote on provision of therapy services. Actually, I really don't have anything ready for a vote this evening, but I did want to discuss this a little bit further. We have been talking with District 63, which, as you know, serves about 1/3 of Maine Township, in addition to District 62 and 64, Park Ridge and Des Plaines, respectively. District 63 has approached us and asked whether or not we can provide some therapy services to their students at a public school, and possibly at Washington and Belleville, too. Some of their students do receive services from, I think, Niles. Is that correct, Rich? From Niles Family
Niles Family Services,
Niles
yes.
Family Services. They have an agreement with Niles Family Services where they get services from some of their students, but Niles will not provide funding for students who are not living in Niles and not going to school in Niles. So we have talked to them about that. What we're looking at is what we're hoping to do is moving forward with having one of our therapists go to a public school at the beginning of the school year for a few hours a week. Has not been set in stone yet by any means. This is what we're aiming for. At the same time, we're going to be looking for perhaps a part-time therapist that we can hire. We can probably will be hired. It's hard to get someone part-time, which will be funded at least in part, maybe in whole, by District 63. That we have to work out too. So will be a member of our staff, but they will be funding this person in part and maybe closer to in whole. But that's all things that have to be worked out. So we don't have anything to vote on quite yet, but I wanted to bring this to your attention. I think this is something very important for us to pursue. School's going to be starting soon. You know, since our last board meeting, we've had, you know, we've all heard about tragedies, shootings that were brought about by troubled young men. And, you know, if we can do anything to bring therapy to our schools and our students, and, you know, perhaps prevent something like that from happening in the future, I think it's well worth the time and money to do it. So that is something that we will continue to be looking into, and I want to just apprise you that that's something we will probably be bringing before you in the future. Does anyone have any questions or comments about that?
All right, sorry. I have a suggestion on this one, you know, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, you know, for the agency funding, a lot of, you know, the lot of agency, you know, which are giving them the funds. So if I'm not mistaken, they provide this service too. So why not we can engage them to help us to do this, you know, because we're giving them the money. I think few agencies providing these services, and they can do it in the Maine Township because we're giving them the money.
Well, you know, I've had some discussions with them, and I don't want to say this is entirely the case because I don't want to mistake that, but they have, their schools in Richmond, you can articulate what their concerns are. They do have certain unions, and the unions do certain tax work, and it's sort of my impression that it would be easier for them to help fund a position that would be one of our positions. Rich, I don't know, is that stating what you understood from the meeting or not?
From the meeting, yes. So there has to be a difference between the services that are provided by the school social workers and what we would provide. Was that your question, or were you talking about?
No, you wanted to know if it overlaps in something we're already paying for to these, we fund these agencies that, right? Yeah. That's what he's asking, if it overlaps in something we're already paying for.
We're not paying for, any of the agencies we're funding don't provide that service already.
All right, that's what we want.
None of agencies provide this service?
I'm sorry?
None of the agencies providing these therapy services?
There are agencies that we fund that provide therapy services, but not in schools like we're proposing.
Yeah, but we can make them to do it because we are giving them the money.
Well, the thing is, I mean, for instance, like we give money to Jocelyn, but we can't tell Jocelyn that they have to send someone to be in a public school. The thing is that school officials are concerned that if therapists don't come to the school, these students will never go to a therapist. They won't have transportation there, or their families won't take them there. They will not get that therapy unless it's provided in the school. And I don't think we can tell any of the, like, I don't know how practical it would be for us to tell some of the grant fundees that they have to send one of their therapists to a public school or the other school.
Because in our application always say out of Maine Township, how many people you serve, how many people you serve in the Maine Township. So why not we can just refer to them and we see if they refuse to do it, then we shouldn't fund to them. Because we're giving a Maine Township money to them, and that's the money is the residents of the Maine Township.
Well, I don't know.
It's in the report though, I sent too though.
Pardon?
Tell you how many people they.
No, that's what I'm saying. They're saying reporting like Maine Township, let's say they say 100. Out of Maine Township is 50. So we can refer to them instead of hiring our own therapists for this purpose. So that's my suggestion, you know, because we are paying them.
Right?
Yeah.
So all of the mental health agencies that we fund too are dealing with shortages, like is happening across the board in mental health right now. So some of the agencies have actually stopped taking on new clients because they've had turnover and staff have left, and they're just trying to maintain services for the clients they currently have. So everyone is struggling to find more providers for mental health these days. So there's not a lot of availability, and we could certainly ask agencies if that's something they'd be interested in, but my fear is they're just trying to stay afloat with the clients they currently have to serve.
And that's what we need, a lot of help with mental health issues. Really.
So, again, I'm not asking for any vote tonight, I just want to.
It's only 2 schools too, right, Karen?
Well, Apollo primarily, but they also mentioned possibly Washington and Nelson too.
So 3 possible total schools.
Possibly, yeah.
And it would be one person traveling to those schools.
I imagine so, and they will work out all the details. Okay, all right, that's just something I wanted to talk to you about. Okay, let's reports, recap of recent events. We had July 7th, we had our cyber crime program here, but also taste of Park Ridge. You want to talk about that a little bit? Or are you too tired to talk about it? You're just you're exhausted from being there.
No, it was a long day, but it was a lot of fun, and thanks to everybody who came out and volunteered their time, talked to residents, and served beverages. A good time, so thank you for everyone who made it out.
Yeah, great. Okay, I want to mention some upcoming events. If Pete was here, I'm sure he'd want to mention National Night Out, August 2nd. So that's a big evening. I hope everyone can make it. I know our department heads will be there, and a lot of fun activities are planned for that evening. A couple other smaller ones coming up: Rules of the Road class on August 8th, August 9th, we're having a self-defense class. Another, let's see, event that I want to mention that I hope board members can possibly attend is we're planning an employee picnic after work on August 24th, rain day 25th. So perhaps board members can stop by for that. That'll be at 5 p.m. Then on our calendar, I think we all want to visit the garage sale on September 17th and go shopping there maybe. So we're going to be serving hot dogs and food there too. On September 19th, we're having a North Suburban Legal Aid power of attorney class here. And then I think the last event I'll mention is something that's coming up in September too. Now, I have a chance to mention this to department heads, but not to members of the board yet. And I want department heads to listen to this too, because there's been a big change. It's not September 22nd, it's September 9th. No, 8th, September 8th. Really, September 8th. I was talking back and forth with the township officials of Illinois regarding what date it would be. It's going to be September 8th. What is it, you're asking? The Jim Crabtree from the Executive Director of Township Officials in Illinois contacted me and asked whether or not our township and our highway department would be willing to host legislators from Springfield who are on 2 committees. One is the Senate and Local Government Committee, and the other is the House Committee, I think it's on counties and towns. And the township officials of Illinois have suggested they visit 2 townships, ours representing urban townships, and the other one being Arthur Township, which is, of course, a very rural township that has horses and buggies to it. So they're going to be coming to visit us. I think we really, want to showcase our township at that event. If board members can attend that event, they plan to be there in the morning. And we're going to be preparing for that, just making sure we all are making a good presentation as to what our township and what townships in general do for their residents. So I think in a way we're sort of perhaps a representative township in this visit that will be paid by them. Now, they might be interested in a ride-along. I understand sometimes legislators will do that. They'll want to ride around with the trucks or something. So perhaps later in the morning, you can afford them an opportunity to do that.
Yeah, sure.
But you'll work on that, and we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, if you could just share their contact information.
Sure.
You
Sure.
said Thursday, September 8th.
It's September 8th. Yes, that's what we're looking at right now.
And you'll send us more details when we.
Yeah, I don't have a lot more to share with you right now, but that's okay, I will do that. Another thing a couple of things I wanted to mention. If you check your email, you notice that we're all supposed to complete the 2022 sexual harassment prevention training and fill out a certificate too, and give that to Ruba. It's her job to collect those. I also wanted to let you know, just for your information.
What's the deadline on that, Karen? I didn't get that.
Ruba, what's the deadline?
Deadline for harassment, September, no.
31st.
In August 22.
Okay, thanks, so that's coming up quick, I gotta get information on that. I didn't get that off the website, so thank you. All right.
I will, I'm not sure 100% of the deadline. I'll email it again.
Okay. Okay, I've had that training, we'll do it again, I suppose. I'll have to. Okay.
All right. Also, just wanted to let you know of your information. We had a recent FOIA request that we needed to respond to from the Daily Herald, and they asked for all our names, our salaries, and what the township paid for our health insurance, and if we had any invoices we submitted to the township for expenses that we had. Just so you know, that's something they were interested in, and I'm just letting you know that. Okay, what else do we have here? As I mentioned last time, under Senate Bill 3789, we have to form these committees. Every government body has to form a committee examining the work that's done by the governing bodies, looking at local efficiencies, and analysis of whether consolidation should be an option with another governing body, and then create a report with recommendations covering efficiencies, accountability, and consolidation explanations. So this report has to be prepared and submitted to the county, and we need 2 community members, 2 residents of the township appointed by the chair of the board. So if anybody has any suggestions, please get them to me within the next month, say, or I will just have to draft someone to do this. And no, it is not a paying position. So
How much time? Would that be?
I don't know, really, I don't know. It's sort of almost what you make it.
Okay.
So, okay, I've mentioned that a couple times now. And, all right, I think the final thing we need to talk about is the Township Officials of Illinois conference. And in order to get the early bird rate, we need to register soon before our next board meeting. So please let me know if you want to go, and if you have any feelings on whether individuals other than board members should be allowed to attend. Last time I gave you a breakout of expenses, and I think I put it in your place again so you can see how much that costs just to send people to the Township Officials of Illinois Conference. Okay. Yes?
Township getting any awards this year?
So we didn't, I submitted my message, awards in the magazine, unless I missed it, I didn't see that. So I think Equine ICAS got awards, so that we'd have to ask for Sheree for Planet Friday. But we would just apply to them, we wouldn't know if we wanted to get, it's too early to tell, but we always apply for as many as we can. Obviously, somebody would want to put out to get the awards if we won, but we always apply for as many as we can.
Where's the due date on that?
I have to look at the magazine. I don't know. I feel like it's usually the end of August. So soon.
I was hoping to see a schedule of the classes. And you haven't seen
Yeah,
that.
I haven't seen it. I looked at the magazine and there wasn't any.
Really, is there a way we can contact them and ask them if they, give an update on that or get that to us?
Yeah, thanks.
Is it possible just to go for one day?
Yes.
Oh, I think so. Yeah, no, and I think that's why all of us were, or many of us were looking for a schedule to see what is there to,
In your perspective, it gives you that option.
Okay, yeah, 'cause I would like to go for a day at least, but I would want to know which day.
Karen, are we giving the department heads a chance if they want to go to choose?
well, that's something I'm asking you your opinion on.
Is it something that's relevant? I mean, or is it, like, would it be a lot more?
There's a lot of good
They-
information.
Okay, that's why I didn't, I
You
mean,
can let me know what you think about highway department, if you want to send it out, other than yourself, or if you even want to go, I don't know if you want to go, you can.
Yeah, I've done it in the past. I'll probably go for at least one day, but it's a lot of useful information.
And I do think it would help if we had that schedule, but, do they usually have separate events for highway?
Yeah, they would break it down, broke down by.
Okay.
Assessment.
All right.
Police department, Marie's department.
I just want to add to what Assessor One Price said, that if we do win some awards, usually the awards breakfast is on Tuesday morning. So I don't know if you want to go for one day, like you just go for Monday, and you might miss the awards breakfast, but obviously you go for Tuesday, we're going to miss the whole of what seminars out on Monday, so.
Where's it located again? It's downstate somewhere?
Springfield.
Oh, Springfield, okay.
Do you know the date?
Do you know the date off the top of your head? It's
It's November like 13th, 14th, 15th, something.
Yeah, we will, I'll tell you.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Any other reports or anything else we want to discuss about future events? Yes, Jim?
I just said one thing. I think we should publicly commend and congratulate Emily Toomey, who's an employee, I guess, of Riches. She not only is she is a youth program coordinator, she's also a mentor in the mentoring program. So not only does she run our program, she also is a mentor to a young person. So I think that's really commendable of her. I think I brought that up. It's one of the that people are interested in doing mentoring. So congratulations to Emily Toomey.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Any other discussion that anyone would like to have about any matters before we wind up the open session?
I just have just a couple quick things real fast.
Sure.
So the highway department, we got the drainage, the big drainage project almost complete on Oak and Lene. But one of the things I wanted to announce is that we are with the local 150 strike right now. We are basically in a holding pattern for resurfacing any of our streets. Hopefully they get to come to terms. I believe they were close the last time I checked, but nothing has been official. So we're kind of waiting to start our resurfacing projects. We've done curbs and sidewalks and sewers, but like I said, we're waiting to start the streets. It's kind of getting close. It's looking like the fall right now, so hopefully we can get it done before we have to re-justify that money for next year. So.
Oh, thanks for bringing that to our attention. I didn't know that. All right.
I have one thing.
Yes.
Rita?
Yes.
Thank you.
Please.
We have gotten the results from the Board of Review. We are now open for re-review, and you need to get your information in by the 28th. And the clock is ticking.
28th of July?
Yes.
Thank you. We can give it to you for your...
No, you're gonna have to do that. You can bring it down there, something written, you can fax it to them, and it has to be, you're gonna get your results. You should have gotten it either today or tomorrow, you're gonna get them. And if you're not happy with the numbers that we gave you, then you cannot resubmit what you had given them. You have to have all new information. So it has to be something new that has happened to your property, or something overlooked that you did not submit.
I see. So
So
it's
it
not a
has to be
standard
new information.
So it's not a standard tax appeal. It's something.
No, this is just, you got a window, a couple days.
Okay.
So you're saying if you've already submitted, we should be getting that information?
Yes, you should either get an email to you, or you will get it letter. Okay. But a lot of people, from what we did for seniors, because a lot of them don't have emails, they should be sending a letter to those
But if
people.
we haven't heard anything yet, that's okay. We should.
You haven't heard anything?
I already did.
Well, we did the appeal was done for you? Yes. Well, then hopefully tomorrow.
And the deadline's when? Wednesday?
Yes. The 28th. They've done that all the time. You don't have any time. So if you're not happy, and we've looked at some, and it seems that the board review did do a little bit for people. So just a tiny bit. We'll see.
All right. Do you want to give us any more bad news?
Any more bad news? Well, I kind of heard now Elk Grove has just got open with the Cook County Assessor's Office for our triennial reassessment, and they were told Monday or Friday, which now maybe pushes us up a little bit, and maybe we'll be open for like 3 weeks. That's what we're thinking. That's what the scuttlebutt is.
Okay. All right. Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right. At this point, I would like to have a motion, receive a motion to discuss the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees. May I have such a motion?
And before the motion, we missed on that Indian and Pakistan festival.
Oh, well, I asked you before if you wanted to speak about any specific events. What would you like to say?
Yeah, because I was thinking when I proposed to the Maine Township, I was thinking the Maine Township avoid this program, because I was sick and I came even out from the hospital and from home today after 13 days. So if I am not here, it's supposed to be somebody, we continue with this program, This is not my personal program. So another thing I heard about, the office, about the volunteer, a lot of stuff going, there's no time to discuss it all. So maybe I can say, keep it for the next meeting, and I want to have the opinion from the board. Do they want me to continue this program? And Maine Township should involve. So if we involve the employee, let's say they are working 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, so we should give them a calm time or we should give them overtime. Nobody is going to free give, work, So I can say, if you don't mind, this year I'm not able to do it because of my health condition.
Sure.
So I will just leave it to the board. If the board say, okay, next year we can do it and we have everybody involved in, so we should have the employee policy, which one, let's say somebody do overtime, so they are eligible for overtime or calm time, or next day they can leave early. So I will say still, can you please be for the next meeting put it on the agenda?
So you want to talk about doing it for next year?
Yeah, that's for next year, not for this year.
Okay, that's fine.
Thank you.
We can put that on the agenda for next year.
And the last, I want to thanks to the Commissioner Bowe and his team to participate for the both events, bring the candy and the frisbee for the residents of the Maine Township, and I really appreciate their work. Thank you.
It's the 4th of July parade.
4th of July, and especially on the park, because they are the one only who bring the float. And the last, I forgot it, So the last one about the sign, on the 4th of July, all the municipalities and the Maine Township, they have a sign for the Happy Independence Day and Happy 4th of July, except the Maine Township. Because we were promoting
We're listing some of our events.
yeah, but we should when have a, the National Day, we should have a sign for Happy 4th of July.
Okay.
For one day it doesn't make a difference, but we should have it there. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Okay, as I was saying, we have a motion to discuss the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to go into a closed session to discuss that.
All right, is there a second? Do you have a second from one of you two? I mean, I don't have to tell you anything if you don't want to know about it.
Well, I'm not refusing to participate, so I will second the motion, I guess. It has to be done. Right.
Okay, all right. Would you give us a roll call?
Supervisor Diamond?
Yes.
Trustee Corba?
Yes.
Trustee Maher?
Yes.
Trustee Manu?
Yes.
Okay, all right. We will be going into closed session. For those of you who are here, I don't anticipate that there'll be any session, any action taken in open session after the closed session. So if you want to stay, you're welcome to do so, but you don't have to. Okay, thank you.